organizations which could be just doing some niche product areas that they are going to focus on. One could be on analytics, which is an organization called SAS, or we have something on BPM like Pega. So there are a lot of organizations like this where they focus in a specific area, which again we try to map and find out how best they can be part of the whole SI when we go to the customer and say, this is the total solution and these are the things that you're going to have. So when the alliance organization looks at the partner, there are three things that they normally look at. One is, in a proposal that I'm giving, which we call it as business as usual, any proposal that comes, the proposal says, as a SI, you give a complete solution, which will include hardware boxes, which will include network, which will also include some products, which will products in various areas. And when we do that, we try to find out where the products of even niche product areas can fit into the whole system. And when we give the whole solution to the customer, it not only gives the SI solution, but also gives the partners' profiles and the products and their offerings that goes into the system. This is one which we call as business as usual, where against any request for proposal, we give our proposal in terms of the complete combined thing. The second one is, we try to find out this type of solutions that we have, can we put it on the product of, or can it be on top of the product that is being generated by? It could be predominantly technology products. Or if there are even business products, can it work with our business solutions in a combined form? We call it as just create an offering jointly between the partner and the SI, and then take it to the customer. This is the phase two, what we call. The third one is, can both the partner and, knowing the capabilities of the particular partner, can both the SI and the partner organizations, can they create which is market making, something like an R&D? Can we create something which can go jointly to the end customer, or it can be totally market making? Now this is an area where I think most of our SIs have started. What we do is, we try to identify partners who have the capabilities to do that. We call them as the COIN partners, and in TCS at least we give the name as COIN, which is co-innovation, so that we try to help them also in terms of coming out with the new product and see if there is some help required in terms of the technology knowledge or the business knowledge, or for that matter, in terms of what needs to be, what needs to get into the whole thing. So these three areas, one is how do the partners play in the business as usual, how the partners play in creating joint go-to-market, and then the third, complete R&D, where we create something which is totally market-making. So with that background, I thought I'll just run through some of the points where we'll find where we have put on something like the challenges the SIs face, the challenges the product organization face, and how do we circumvent that. And then, so if you take the large SIs, see, they have a good customer base. Whether it is Fortune 500, Fortune 100, or Fortune, whatever maybe the numbers, a phenomenal amount of customer base. And for every customer, they have an account management. They do, it could be, if it is large, they have an account management. Also, it could be a group of customers in a particular vertical. Then they have, specific to the vertical, they have account management or the relationship management. Then, they have, normally they're verticalized. And what we call as, they have banking and financial services as one head, they have retail as the other, healthcare as one. And there are so many verticals that you can talk of. And also in terms of horizontals, they might also have a practice which is like an SAP practice or an Oracle practice or BPM practice. So we have the the verticals and the horizontals which crisscross, and then when it comes to a particular proposal, they try to find out how best these groups can get together to give a final proposal to the end customer. So that's the large and the focused industry vertical that we're talking about. Then most of the SIs have the dedicated alliance organization like what we have. That's the organization that I take care of as far as TCS is concerned. We have an alliance organization where the important thing is we have to know. If you ask me for an alliance organization, who is the customer? Actually, the SI's sales team is actually our customer, because we along with the solutions that they are going to offer from the TCS side, we are also going to say that along with that, why don't you also include the products, profiles, or the offerings that is going to come, and then give it as a total solution to the end customer. So the alliance organization gets educated on the partners' products, and they influence the partners' products to the sales team, and they, at the end of the day, they take it to the customer. So that's why the alliance organization plays a very sort of a pivotal role in terms of mapping the partners' products to the sales and then to the end customer. Then, of course, we have the dedicated, when I say CTO, the Chief Technology Office or the R&Ds, which try to find out what is new in the horizon, which can be taken. The new in the horizon can also be picked up from the coin partners that we normally call as a co-innovation partners. So this is the profile, overall profile you will find of a large SI. The startup, they focus on specific areas of products, areas where, which could be pretty niche, it could be in the technology space, it could be in the, business area, or it could be a combination of both. Then, they try to find out the best in the technology and try to find out and then come. But only, we'll go into the challenges later. Then they would have found that, this particular group of customers need a specific solution, so they would have started working on it. But then, whether it will scale, whether it will, it's a question that they have to address. That's what we are trying to advise in terms of to the product organization, how they go about doing it. So these are the basic qualities. I don't want to get into all the details, but it's all, these are the things that the product organization looks at. Best in terms, they try to find out this is the best in terms of the technology solution that I can provide, or this is the best in terms of the business solution that I can provide. And now I have some product which I have to take it to the customer. Whether they can go directly to the customer or not, that's the challenge that they're actually going to face. The challenges and the needs. They are not able to market the way they would love to. They have the moment they have multiple customers, scaling becomes difficult. Limited services capabilities that you have. Then, if you have product-to-product integration that is required to be done, when you go into the customer, they would have different sets of products. You will get into a product. There may be some integration required. So how did that integration take place? That's another challenges. And they, as a small organization, you don't expect them to have an alliance organization like the type that the SIs probably would have. So these are the challenges, and this is what the type of help that they might need from the SI community. So the product organization's expectations from SI, they know that these guys are working with Fortune 2000 customers. So can I leverage the partnership with these SI organizations and go and address those the customer needs? That's what I said. They have to sell to the sales team of the SI organization, talk to them about the capabilities, and this sales team is going to take it forward to the end customer. When they work with the major SIs, and a few success stories, naturally their product also gets into the limelight in terms of, the customer organization is concerned, or even for that matter, the SI organization is concerned. Services capabilities, the thing that you need to create, by which, you have to leverage. And the more you sell your product, you are able to leverage that, you are able to take it and, come out with some what we say is joint events that you can do with the SIs and position your product much more than what it was done before. So it has its own steps, and I think probably I'll go through some of those that we need to do when we actually do this. So if you look at the life cycle, we said there are 4 steps that we may have to go through. For the alliance initiation, first of all, how do you touch base with the alliance organization? Who are the side of people there are some SIs who have alliance organization. There are some SIs who do not have an alliance organization. Again, your product might not need the requirement of the whole SI. It may be addressing only specific to a particular vertical. Then why you spend all your time in going through all over the place? So you try to go and address only the vertical where you are interested in selling your product to. So identifying the right touch point sponsor within the within the SIs is a very, very important point that you have to, because there are some, I can give you examples as when you go to, as I said, though you may go to a particular vertical, saying that here is an opportunity that I would like to showcase. That particular vertical, whoever is responsible for it, he might address it as far as that proposal is concerned. Once that proposal is over, I think he just doesn't care. So how do you keep that presence felt to see? That's why sometimes the alliance organization helps. They say that, okay, we try to evaluate, you having done this for the BFSI of part of our organization, is it possible to scale it to other verticals? Whether your product is possible to be scalable, or can you have, do you need to do some tinkering around the product so that it can be showcased to others? I'll give you a simple example. There's a partner called Progress. I think most of the SIs would be working with them. When they came into the market, and when they worked with us, the first area that we worked with them was on hospitality industry, predominantly used in the hotels and The moment we found that we asked them to make some tinkering into the whole products style, the product features, we found that they had some space in the retail space. We found that they could be taken into telecom. So there was a spread. So that's why, as the first point says, that going to the right person in the SI organization becomes very, very important. The touch point, it's definitely very important. Sometimes you are successful 100%, sometimes you're not, but then, it's a sort of an iteration that you definitely go through. And many of the people, once you do that, and as long as the alliance organization is ready to help you, I think that shouldn't be a problem taking it up. You need to develop business cases, because the first time you meet, every SI will say, can you give me an approach note? Can you, what are the business case that you have? What's your plan in terms of how do you grow? And then the immediate thing is, can you give 2 or 3 product licenses free of cost so that we will test it and probably give it back? These are the things, which will always, and we'll also try to find out, as long as it fills the gap in my solution stack, I really would. And at the same time, we have to get into an NDA, because you don't want us to copy that. And normally, SS, once they find it, they normally don't reinvent the wheel unless and until, the other organization, the product organization which started suddenly vanished out. And then these are another challenges that we always have. People who start up and they are there for some time, and suddenly we don't see those people, in the space. And as I said, the SIs just don't want to take any risk. They want to be very clear. They want to be sure that nothing happens. Very, very, and that was the last thing that they would even address, taking in terms of any type of. And as long as they're comfortable, they know that it's going to happen. Then they'll take it forward. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very difficult. The next stage is the moment you get into an agreement with a partner. The first thing you do is the agreement or the NDA or a legal documentation. And let me tell you, this is the toughest job on earth. Nobody, and we are interested in doing business. The legal department is not. Okay. They will go through all sorts. You have a 2-page document to start with. It will probably get into a 200-page document once the review and other things take place. And at the end of the day, you will find out where are those 2 pages of content that actually initially you started. You'll have to really go through all over the place to find out what it is. But it's a challenge. People are trying to get standardized on that, but as I said, that's going to be. So the best thing is how best we can keep it simple is the best. And in the initial parts of the world, I think you normally try to agree with some of the terms that the SIs put across, and then then you take it forward. The agreement is for mutual, and that's fine. Some of the SIs are interested in reselling your products. Some of them may not be. Again, some of them may be interested in selling it in a particular geography where there is no, they don't find problems in terms of taxation or any other regulatory things that might come into the picture. But other places you might find. So in fact, let me tell you, we do some reselling of the partners' products. We do it in India because we know how to do it in India. Then we were able to replicate that in to a certain extent in Middle East, which again we found. But if you take US and Europe, it's going to be very tough. So it's only, what we do is we don't resell, it's only influencing. We influence the partners, say, to tell the customer that this is a nice product, you take it, you can buy them directly. We don't have to go through so it normally doesn't go through the SI's books. SI typically wait for a few joint customers, like, they don't go with just one customer success. We go with a few successes before they say that yes, here we are going to get into a partnership. And maybe joint thing on presses and the press releases, and also the internal communication that we need to have within our own organization, saying that here's a partner who has these sort of products, these are the features, and this is exactly what we plan to do with them. Those things go into the internal communication. And also, external, when we have these type of press outings that normally come out. So initially, again, as I said, we need to have the customer engagements going. You need to get the SI's confidence and build the competency. It could involve some of the customers also. Training the resources become very important, because the implementation of your product is going to be done by the SI's team. So the training and enablement becomes very important. At some point in time, what happens is your product features, sometimes you can explain it much better than even though you must have given the training. So at some point in time, your team's requirements in terms of participation in whether it is in pre-sales or presentations, may be required. And then it's a natural thing, the first few experiences that you have with the first few customers makes a hell of a lot of difference when you get into the final shape as far as the SI is concerned. Scaling scale at the end of the day is more important, because your interest is to scale your business, as is the SI's interest, because as long as they see today, most of the SIs are looking at what we call as non-linear growth, and as long as they can push and take these products and then take it to the end customer, I think they would be all the more happy if the product is good in its own shape and fine, and taking the customer becomes pretty important. I will end with this. The most important thing is to have a governance model, because you must have done so many things, but the only thing is, how are we on a periodic basis, let's review whether this particular, when I'm working with an SI, whether they have really pushed the product, they have understood the product, they are able to implement it properly, they are able to position it properly. All those things will come, and then once you do the review, you will know that this is what we wanted, this is what we wanted to achieve, and these are the SIs who have helped us taking it out. So the SIs are definitely there to help. The SIs definitely want multiple products to go as part of the whole thing. So once you do this, I think the partnership is there to be. The partners that basically grow, and many partners have grown the way as the model that I was just trying to articulate, and I don't think there should be any difference for you partner organizations to work with SIs like ours, and scale to the level that you want your ambition is going to be. With that, I'll just stop. This is the basic framework I thought I'll share. And then probably, as Suresh said, that now the Swayamvar can start. We'll sit on this side, and then probably we can take to the next step, the part 2 of the whole thing. Okay, thanks.
Actually, before I get into the second, George is also here. Okay, good. I just thought 2 things I'll mention. One is when we put together this session, we wanted 2 people from each one of the SIs, because sometimes or many times it's difficult to
and IBM in testing, rational. But ITKO created that okay, 2 years back, I picked up ITKO, and they were in a similar situation like you. They don't have money to give trainings to people. Okay, people had to buy their trainings. But the testing automation product was addressing such requirements that all SIs ultimately did all that. They bought so much of ITKO, they had 300% growth, now CA bought them. So I think there is a way out. You have to think from SI's perspective to get answer to this.
We will have some more discussion on this offline, because I think we need to go ahead.
Rahul, before we move on, I think I think first and foremost, I would really encourage you to look at the SI as your first point of customer, and if you are able to actually propose a compelling value as to why you are better off compared to the other Cognos and other people, then only we can actually take that message to the customer. Because end of the day, we are all equally interested in generating money and revenue, but nobody wants to take that first step and risk it. When we are already invested and already comfortable with 10 other people, then obviously there is an additional bit of a business case to be made. But I think once we understand that value, we'll be all for it, because we probably will have much better mileage and advantage with a younger startup than with the biggies. The biggies are always going to actually play all kinds of tricks with even larger size. So please look at us as a customer too, and then make that compelling value proposition.
Just one more point, Rahul, getting back to it. I'm sorry, but I know it was quite tempting to jump into it. I knew that Suresh wanted to move to the next question. So I think Rahul, just a couple of things which comes to my mind. One is what I think JRK had mentioned, the right touch points. I think you have the right touch points out here. Being absolutely frank with you. So point number 2. SIs, the business plan and the focus keeps, changing as per the input which comes from the top management and the focus on the bottom line or the specific vertical segment. You got to get some feeler, which will not come very openly from the SIs also. What is their plan for the next financial year or next the financial year? You have some idea so that you can see whether your product is actually somewhere, actually fitting in, onto the roadmap. That'll give you the great, the fillip. Otherwise, there are hundreds of folks or hundreds of product companies which keeps coming to these, the SIs, and becomes very difficult for the SI also, in all fairness to all the, the SIs, which I'm seeing we are all getting bombarded out here, to actually, go ahead and, because it's the same person who's trying to capture the same, the market out here from the SI perspective, and he's got about 40 or 50, the product, the partners. It gets very difficult, and again the training cost and the focus cost. So it's a huge the journey and the investment from our side. I thought these are the 2 points which I wanted to come across.
Okay. Yeah, this is a generic question. I just want to understand the relationship between the alliance horizontal versus the sales team inside the SI, because ultimately the sales team is driven by their numbers. And they would much rather be focusing on the linear revenue rather than experimenting with newer products. So, yeah. So, how do we get it past the alliance team and past the sales team? That's when it really.
That's a very great question, because navigating the SI organization, especially the large ones, is a very complex exercise for ISVs. Like, we really don't understand. You guys call relationship managers, account managers, sales guys, alliance managers. By the time we figure out all these names, we are dead.
Because we are tying up with a couple of SIs, and we find that the horizontals don't have a strict number that they have to work against, but they are more technology focused and they want to spread it. Whereas the sales team is coming from the opposite direction, where they have to drive down towards the numbers. So just want to understand, is there some kind of a 90-10 percentage of revenue where 90% comes from your regular thing and 10 you have to keep trying new things? So is that something that is coming up in the SIs?
Yeah, I think it has to be a little bit of a longish answer. To bear with me for that, right? I think it covers kind of a couple of points from there also. See, one, I can only speak on behalf of Cognizant. I don't know how some of the peer organizations work, right? Alliance organization in Cognizant is not only charted with revenue numbers, it is also have goals which related to solution innovation aspects as well as associate or employee enablement aspects. So that's a very, very critical point. Why I'm saying that is that if you as an ISP try to partner with an SI during a particular opportunity or a sales cycle, it is very difficult because we are risk averse and a lot of background verification needs to happen, a lot of solution integration needs to happen, and usually within an RFP time frame or a pursuit time frame, we don't have the luxury of doing that. So what basically we are doing is that we have partnered with ISVs in terms of creating certain nonlinear solutions proactively. I mean, we have, like, for example, partners with ISVs where for maybe about 18 months, we have not made a single dollar. Still, we have deep relationship. We are working together, building on that. That is the only way we can actually mitigate the problem, which I think Rahul, right, you are talking about. It cannot be opportunistic. So my point is that we have an internal mandate in terms of influencing sales, and we are also measured based on numbers like influence revenue, but that is not the only mandate. particularly when we are getting into the next generation of technologies like call it cloud or mobile or social or big data or sensor networks and areas like that, which are the next wave of technologies which are emerging, we are not looking at it as a 1 quarter problem. We are looking at it as a 12 to 24 months problem. So if you stay focused in the same way and then partner with SIs, I think at least
a very frank feedback there is
Please.
The key problem I think is that 18 months because what happens is people change. The people move to newer roles and responsibilities, and the next person who comes, he brings some legacy along with him, right? He also has been working in his previous roles with other ISVs, and probably the preference is more towards that. And the ISVs are forced to start from scratch, which discourages, and they don't have the bandwidth to sustain for 24 months for a very niche ISV product. So is there something that can shorten these cycles, which can happen in, let's say, 6 months time period? See, leave apart the documentation and legal process. They take their own time. But understanding the strengths of the technology that is coming out of this geography and trying to see where it can be fit. So can that happen in a much shorter cycle?
I think, what, at least again, I'm speaking on Cognizant's behalf, what we have made sure is that our alliance organization is people with both business and technology knowledge. It is not just the business and business development knowledge, because that is very important, because the technology appropriateness in terms of your product with Cognizant solutions is very, very mandatory, so that we can actually cut down the cycle time. Otherwise, you can spend a lot of CPU cycles in terms of like finding the right suitor within Cognizant. Even if you get married to me, you have to get married to a lot of other people also, right, within the company, right? So what I'm saying is that we can actually help you go to the person who can, in a very short time frame, make the decision on whether there is a fit or not, rather than wasting your time and bandwidth, right? That is point number one. And point number two is that you have to see whether there is a long-term solution plan which is aligning to your product. If the person from Cognizant or any other SI is coming to you only for a proposal, that is a clear symptom that it's very, very tactical and opportunistic. Once that is over, you are not going to see that person. So you have to ask them that, hey, what is that repeatable solution Cognizant is building where my product has a play? If there is a genuine, credible answer to that, then you know that it is going to be an accelerated process, because we all have that pressure to promote that. And one more small point, which I think you also might want to understand, is that SIs are also going through a change in the last 12 to 24 months in terms of even our risk averseness, right? We are under a lot of pressure. Like if I read a TCS CEO interview, he is talking about non-linearity all the time, right? That is true for companies like Cognizant also. So we are under pressure to create non-linear solutions which are integrating niche products and technologies and then delivering platforms based on that. So that's a major push happening in the last 12 to 18 months, which is not what you would have seen in SIs in the past. That really changes the chemistry and dynamics within our companies, and where you have a much more opportunity. So what I'm saying is that please don't be biased by your past. There's a new wave that is happening within SIs also. So, yeah.
So are we doing well on the session?
Yeah. Yeah, on the sales connect side, Yeah, on the sales connect side, I have a point to add. There is 3 type of relationship you will have to build with every SI, and then do literally cockroaching inside the SI organization, which will address your people change problem and stability of relationship. First connect is of course the alliance, which is enabler. Alliance teams will enable you wining and dining between your sales guys and alliance sales guys, our SI sales guys. But those, we can only enable them to fall in love. We cannot make them fall in love and marry. They have to marry on their own. Okay, so your sales guy has to be equally good. The one approaching us alliance has to be good, but the sales guy, our sales guy has to show that value. Number 2, the technology guy. Okay, there you people really do good job. Our technology people, all of technology people love all the small, medium product companies, because your product is good, you have invested in product. But you'll have to go beyond that and say that what is the plan of the technology guy, how you will help him survive. Today, every technology head is trying to survive, because technology guys also have revenue target, bottom line target, everything, right? Ratio of build, unbuild, offshore. How you help them? And third point, which is critical, is how fast you get some leads. You may not be able to close the leads. You will need SI to close leads, like you very rightly mentioned. Pegasus, Orangescape closed a lead with TCS in competition with Force.com. But can you get those leads or information to SI, which will motivate SI to come back to you and say, oh, I will tell my sales guy that this product is good because I am anyway not winning business. Anyway, if TCS is winning business, I am not winning business. Can you get me the lead and I can win business if they are doing with Oracle, or vice versa. If I am anyway going with Oracle, can you go to him and do a solution? So all that games you will have to play. Additional to cockroaching, you need to know 100 people if you want to sustain 18 months.
So actually one point I'll try to add my experiences. On the SI side, the sales guy, even though he used the word sales, you need more like a farmer.
Which one? Sales Connect.
Sales Connect.
Not a hunter. If you put a hunter on the SI side, you will burn. Because until he gets very frustrated.
Our alliance
He
and
said
sales are
18
part of the
months,
same.
not for understanding, evaluating. It's 18 months is gestation. If you have a big data product, it takes 18 months to figure out the first few customers to come in. And a farmer has the ability to hang in there. A hunter will get pissed off. That's the first point. I don't need a mic. The second point is you combine the farmer with the pre-sales guy. Because on the other side, there is feet-on-street sales guys from the SIs who are going and meeting the customers. They understand broadly those concepts, right? When they go into details, they will not be able to do that. So your pre-sales guy and your relationship guy, which is the farmer, together actually make things work very, very well. That's the am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to this. Please go to
Okay, let me start first and foremost, I wanted to really congratulate Suresh on behalf of NASCOM for doing this workshop, because he's wanting to replicate his success, so that's something like very commendable, because everybody wants to grow without letting the success of how they grew to the others. So that way, thanks Suresh. Second thing is, what I'm speaking is from my experience. We're a small company based out of Chennai, having a enterprise mobile solution which rides on ERP packages. And we have been selling it only through ISVs, but definitely not an Indian-based ISVs, because our experience with Indian-based ISVs has been pretty bad. Whenever, I don't know, in Suresh's case, because it was a niche product or a platform which was not replicatable that easily by the ISVs, he was able to sell. Whereas with us, SIs. Whereas with us, what happens is, you're not only an SI, you're also an service providers. So always the fear in us is that whenever we are approaching the SIs for some of these solutions to go out in the market, we have been pushed for our heads which have been working in that group. This has been a very pretty bad experience, which we have, first case, we thought it was an isolation, but second, third time we were bitten. So even today, I am not very sure of whether I will speak out with whatever has been going on for a product that very openly or not is the question. I'm not saying that everybody is like that or all the situations were like that, but it's that the experience is how do we, as a small company, protect our intellectual, I would say, working people within our organization, because if this is easily replicatable by you, then I'm lost.
Yeah, go ahead. Meaning, I think there are two parts to this problem. She's asking people and IP. There are two.
You want to take it?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Vicky.
All right. So the way. Correct. So let me answer both. Intellectual property per people. Both. Okay. So let me answer both these. So of course, as with anything, if the technology is so easily replicable that it takes only 4 weeks of somebody else to build it up, then maybe the technology or the uniqueness of the solution is still questionable. That's the first part. Yeah. Yeah. So as long as the value is there and it's not the IP is strong enough, then definitely it's not something that all organizations would want to poach and steal that idea and make it their own or replicate it. So the way we work is, of course, we are fairly, of course, start with an NDA, start with the MOU has a very, very strict clause which talks about non-poaching. It has not just non-poaching across, and we also work with multiple competing players. So we make sure that there is also cool-off periods across working across competing products. We make sure a lot of those checks and balances are in place, and that happens for both sides as well. That we don't want our partners to also take some of our connects and go and bypass some of these things and replicate, because some thoughts also come when we start talking about the value add and things like that. A lot of back and forth happens, a lot of feedback comes through, and that, of course, the interest is to make the product very successful, but in that process we don't want to lose out something that is our IP as well. So it's a mutual trust that eventually builds, and yeah, there are legal processes in place. We make sure we have non-poaching, IP violation related clauses, and we make sure that these are at least very sacrosanct for the organization, because ultimately in this industry what we have found is if you mess up with one, it's a very, very incestuous world, very small. We meet the same people in different contexts. In one case, we may have the upper hand, in the other case we will not. So we don't try to do that on a typical basis.
Maybe when you hire people on an outsourced model from a smaller services company, people absorbing might happen.
Correct.
But in a product scenario, I don't know whether it really happens.
No, because if it was a solutioning that they're talking about, what happened was they took at least 5 of a 10-member team and then started giving it as a solutioning to their clients. So that's where they knew that these were the
There are two parts, right? All of you have two parts. One is your product, and second is services. Okay. Let's set the context very clearly. If you want to do a play in services, we are all useless partners, because we want to do services end to end. Okay, so I'm putting it very, in a rough language, but that's the fact. We survive on services. None of us, okay, barring 1 or 2 small instances, none of us want to really develop product and create product IPs. So if you have clear demarcation in the relationship that you will supply a product and L3 product support, and you leave all services to us, okay, this will not happen. That's my personal experience.
Actually, one more thing I've always seen.
No, I think Suresh, I think she's right. I think today the situation is such that with most of the product vendors, there is a clause on IP and there is a clause on non-solicitation. I think it's becoming very strict, and both of us are very keen to do that also. But it's something like this. I'm selling, supposing I'm only doing a resale of your product, then I don't think I need to look on the non-solicitation, because what will I mean, instead of you selling it, I'm going to sell it. So I don't think that clause has got no meaning, but still we put it, and then in fact, in some of the cases, we are struggling to finalize the contract just because of that clause. Not because the clause should not be there, the way it is worded. Okay, and then both the companies say that, let us take a business call. Now, who is going to take the business call, the ISV or the SI? So, it goes on and on and on. So, but anyhow, at some point, we have to close this, because otherwise we can't do business at all. Okay, but as I said, both the clauses today are becoming very important, both from the IP side of the product that you have, and the second one is the non-solicitation part.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just do this and then go to the next guy. I felt that insights, right? Not just that I think they can replicate technology, but the problem with ISVs, the advantage of ISVs is about positioning your problem to a customer's problem. I think that's a difficult part. That it's easily undervalued, right? And I think that's where you got to be focused. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Add-on is that the IP has not been taken away. It is that the people who have been working in that particular technology have not
Yeah.
So that's where that happened. So
Yeah.
that's the irritant thought in the whole relationship.
Oh, okay, can I add one thing out to Suresh? I thought I'll just add one last thing. Maybe somehow it's happening, when we're going to the next question, I'm the one who's, stopping in between. So one step behind. Maybe I have to start catching up on that. So Venki was very clear from his input that we sign a non-poaching and IP part of it. Now, my question to you is, what happens if it's not Persistent or not HCL or not the folks out here? Is there somebody else who comes to know that you have a good team and he wants to take it up? So since I keep working with a lot of product companies and the startups and who have done pretty well, one thing which I can share is the core team which you have and which is creating the differentiation. You got to hold on to them no matter what. Be it the stock, IPO shares, I don't know what. I think Suresh should be in a better position to answer that question. But that's something what he's seen. And there are companies, because HCL gets a big contract on day X, TCS gets a big contract. The HR guys are hungry to get folks on. And everybody's and the referral program out here, So I know that I came from your company, for example, and I know that my colleague is very well, and I give a referral, and I get 10K in my pocket or whatever, 50K in my pocket. So, you got to really protect just not from the poaching, but from the environment per se. I think Suresh, there's something maybe you can add from your experience too.
30% of Orenscape is owned by employees. 30% of my entire company is owned by Orenscape employees.
I want to make one statement is that it's not only for you, it's even for us.
Yeah, exactly what I wanted to add.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, that's exactly what I wanted to add, because we are a products company ourselves, and a lot of people target us, and we lose a lot of people. So I don't think, and it's even more difficult from a larger company's perspective to retain people than a smaller one, because you can't stock options and stuff like that are much more difficult.
Thank you.
Let's not get there.
I'm Bhartish. I represent a company called Abiba Systems. I would like to extend Rahul, and I would like to extend ma'am and one of the panelists who said, actually my question is approach, but I want the panelists to tell me the approach, what is the approach I had to take. But to ask for the approach, I have to give the context. I'm in a different stage of my life cycle of my company. We were developing something, and we have 3 dimensions. Technology stack is there. We have developed our own technology stack. We have domain expertise. We are vertical specialist, and we have very special applications for one vertical. And we have delivery model. As panelist was asking, they can do L1, L2, and implementation, and we can give L3 support at the code level. Now I have references, my success stories. When I go to any one of the Indian SIs who is handling one of the vertical which I'm working with, they say, I have this tool, I don't need you. Though I say that I can show where exactly my your client is capable of getting better revenue, better ROI. I can promise you an ROI. I will give you ROI.
So you should try that in the pitch session. That's the whole idea of the pitch
Okay, no, I wanted the approach.
Which is your vertical?
Other than this pitch session, if I would like to go to an SI.
Which is this vertical?
Telecom.
Okay. So, I think.
BI and telecom.
Okay.
So
So, okay. And which is your domain?
We are into analytics.
Analytics.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So, you meet me afterwards.
See, sometimes when you fail, I think I would add this point. Sometimes when you fail with SIs, some of the partners or the ISV guys, what they do is they go and try to see if they could sell it to the customer directly. Okay. The moment they are able to impress upon the customer, and in that customer, I'm sure some of us will be definitely there. So what? So one of us will be definitely there. So what I'm saying is, now the model that you will have to follow is, I mean, this is one of the models. I'm not, this is the only model. This one of the model is, let the customers tell these SIs that guys work with this product. None of us can say no to the customer. That is your problem. The moment you do that, the question is, then how do you replicate that with the same partner? Once you do that, I think your scale is then assured. So you are indirectly convinced the SIs that your product is good because the customer is vouching for it. So that's one model. Many of the partners whom we have worked is actually influenced by the customers sometimes, rather than we go to them and then ask for it.
My question is about the revenues which ISV can hope to get from this relationship. So how transparent are the SIs on the financial aspects of a sale, you know? If they sell it to a customer, usually our experience has been that they want to squeeze the ISV. You know, it's a new product and our budgets are very low, and you know, they will give 100 reasons.
Maybe in the first 1 or 2 cases it might happen. But over a period, let me tell you.
I hope so. But,
over a period.
I mean, if you can give some tips as to how to handle this kind of situation, or what is the inside, so to say.
So, I think some of the
It's a tip against us only.
some of the ISVs have to poach us to take you on the other side, and then probably we could start working on that model.
Yeah, maybe you can.
No, actually, maybe I can answer that question.
Oh, yeah, please.
None of us is ready to.
Having done that, see, one of the things I think you should try and do is when you discount pricing, you have to be extremely careful. Don't drop pricing. Very, very, very important. Because whatever pricing you drop, that becomes the next standard. You can never, ever get it up. I can tell you for sure, right? So then you need to price it right. For example, if a customer will buy at $10 per user per month, and if your pricing is $100 per user per month, and then you end up negotiating and give it at $10 per user per month, what's the impression we are leaving? We are leaving from $100 per user per month, we are able to come down to $10 per user per month. That means nobody knows what's the bottom. Then the next round, people will think there is still enough to squeeze. I think it's mostly a problem on our side. Our inability to understand the ROI vis-a-vis the value proposition we bring in to the end customer, and hence close the deal. It actually determines the pricing.
Sometimes what happens is, what is the deal between the SI and the end customer is not really
Actually,
fully open to the
I don't know whether that's really a problem,
So-
because if you look at one of the things, they said reselling is a problem, right? In my case, sorry, what's your name? Huh? Yeah, reselling is a problem, they said. Actually, most SIs, they do what is called as straight-through process. Because in India and Middle East, maybe it's possible. But if you go to US, you don't even actually pay anything. So you get a contract with the customer and yourself. The services goes to SI. Product license comes to you. You do straight through. So there is no real problem. Unless there is a competitive situation where somebody else is bidding and they put services, they put license, and then they will lose the deal because your license is high, then they will try to come and squeeze. All these are all practical situations you will do anyway in any sales situation that you have to play by the ears at that time.
And not as Tech Mahindra, but as Preetham, I can tell you. The relationship your sales guy has with the sales guy of SI plays a vital role, okay, in addressing this problem. So the sales guy of SI who is managing customer exactly knows that what he needs ultimately to drop to win the order, but a sales guy of SI is looking at the service component again, not the product component as a major. He doesn't get much of incentives on your products. Okay, that's another thing you have to address. I mean, that's a separate discussion. But if that sales relationship is good, the difference will not be 100 versus 10, that we sell at 100 and you get, we squeeze you at 10. And also keep in mind that if we are doing resale of your product, okay, we have administrative overheads and costs which are far more. Okay, so most, as I said earlier, or as he said earlier, reselling in most of market is not affordable. Earlier when we were chatting, okay, we were debating whether it is reselling is low margin or no margin. Okay, so it looks like to you that 25% is made. It looks like to me that 25% is minus 7%. So that time they will come and squeeze you because they don't want to be at negative margin. So, but the sales guy can definitely guide you.
Hi, my name is Uma. I'll go with the mic first. You know, I feel like KBC aspirant right now. But anyway, my name is Umakant. I run a company called Vimagino. We basically create customer engagement, next generation customer engagement platform for acquiring customers through the web channel. Now, my question to the panel is that, like, if you look at, our primary market is actually US, but we are now also finding customers in India. So we prefer to approach the US customer through, partners. Now, one of the partners have come back and they think that, they might want to take a stake in us, which is typically the way, Cisco's of the world operates. Now, is it advisable for us to basically take up on their offer and strengthen the relationship? Or would that make us distant with other vendors that we might actually are working or might work in future with? In US it's pretty straightforward, but I don't know what's the thing in India.
That's a very good question. Anybody? I think the problem is, how are you going to, the moment you are tagged on with one particular vendor, then you lose the business with any of that competition that you are talking of in that space. Now, I mean, you took the example of Cisco. I mean, it's a better partner to have because 80% of the market that they just sweep. So I mean, but if it is anything else, I'll give you a simple example that we worked with the competition of Cisco, that was Alcatel-Lucent, and wherever I go, people will say that no, we are very comfortable with Cisco. What's your problem? Though, and just to mention that when we work with a partner, we also commit some numbers to them, saying that this is what we will either sell or influence, whatever way it is. So whatever little, even that small 10 million or 5 million that I had committed to an Alcatel-Lucent, I found it pretty difficult because there are some, so if you're going to tag on to some partner,
okay, I'll have a quick question actually. My name is Anu Pandey and I'm with a software product and solutions company, Suametric Software. I think we touched upon that part where you talked about different stages. So can we at least take some of these stages and make it faster, like sign an MOU, which is less legal or where you would have less of a problem? And once you have established that there is some merit in the product that we are offering, so let's have some MOU so that at least we have some ground rule, some ground already set up, and then we can proceed to next stages. Is that a possibility?
The short answer is, we wish to do that. But what happened is, if you take the stages, it's actually the NDA, the MOU, and then, the overall agreement. The moment we started working on the NDA, slowly that got tinkering, another tinkering, it became an MOU. Okay. Then the moment you talk of MOU, that again, few more tinkering, it became a contract. So today, do we have something called an NDA? I do not know. There are some organizations which, see, again, it depends upon the environment that we are in. There's a clear case, we have to close this. Unless and until this NDA is not going to be there, we are not going to close it, then this will happen. Sometimes, if it is not, then it takes its own sweet time. So this is the stage that we are in. We face this. But as I said, a good startup is have a quick NDA done, and then then start working on this, so that there is no encroachment on the APA people, all those at least few clauses. We are in a position to start the work. Okay.
Yeah. A smaller product company may take a view that what is in this 2-page document, okay. The small problem is when we commit to an agreement, we don't want to sign that document and just leave it in the file, okay. So there is an investment unless, so I'm talking for Tech Mahindra or Mahindra Satyam. Okay. We want to sign agreement where we really want to do business. And there is where those stages play a role, okay, critical role. That if at one point of time, if technology owner or the sales owner comes and says, yes, there is a business case, why will we not sign agreement? I mean, legal people, of course, want to justify their salaries and talk a lot and negotiate. That's different case. But as business guys, we want to sign agreement. But I mean, if you have to have a justification.
Yeah. In fact, I wanted to also say that we would actually think before signing even NDA. Because as an SI, I would not like to sign NDA with each and every party. And tomorrow, something happens, some information gets leaked, your IP is leaked to someone else. I mean, people who have signed NDA, they will all come into picture. So even signing NDA, we will be very cautious. Forget about MOU. MOU is the next stage.
Right, and we also have two kinds of NDA. So one could be a light NDA, which is just to initiate a discussion, which again that does not have the non-poaching or some of those clauses which would typically take time to negotiate, and that's an easier way to get the discussion going. But at the same time, you also want to protect yourself, and like ma'am said here, if you want to make sure that you are protected, you need to go through that process. There's no shortcut in these things.
Right.
To make our life
Actually,
light NDA, light agreements, light MOUs, everything. I mean,
actually,
we try to do everything possible, but yes,
Yeah.
See, we started 15 minutes late, so we can go another 15 minutes late till 4:45. But we need to start the third part. We need half an hour at least.
Now he has a mic as well.
My question is actually. My question is a very basic question. We understand you guys are large SIs, okay? And there is no definition of what is the minimum number of strength in an ISV. Like, is it possible for a 3-people company to become an ISV? And I'm getting a lot of doubts in sense like, partnering with you. Lot of questions, whatever asked, right? Like, your sales guy, my sales guy, your support guy, my support guy. I'm actually, we are only 3 guys and doing a product in a space. Yeah, really. The product is actually, we are doing a machine learning based software platform, execution platform, where today the software estimation problems are very complex and every approach is top down, and we are trying to do it in a bottom up approach and trying to collect the data, and even we can tell like this is the realistic possible estimations with your previous data, and we are even giving project analytics part of it. So this is the solution, and
Seems to me you're not selling to global 2000 enterprises in a B2B sort of scenario.
no, they are doing projects, right?
Yeah. You're selling to software development houses, right?
Not necessarily. Whoever uses a PC.
No, so the way I would answer it is, yeah, we understand that you may be a 3-people company. What we were talking about was the roles. There is a sales guy, there is a pre-sales guy, there is a. I mean, if you are all in the rolled into one, great. We will work just with you.
I think we worry about the product that you're offering, the solutions that you're offering. We're not worried about the number of people that you have. But let me also honestly tell you, the moment you are a 3-member organization, we are definitely worried.
If one person leaves,
one person leaves, then, you are also handicapped, and then we don't want to be depending on you, and then we do not know the risk of the other guy also leaving.
So what we call
this is a way. I mean, numbers also play a very important role.
Yeah, I understand.
The way we at Tech Mahindra probably, because we are telecom niche and we need sometimes people and companies like you, we call them consultants, okay, and attach them on a project, okay. But partnership means liabilities on both sides, and there are a lot we have signed with customers. I mean, if I can assure all of you, if one of you read our agreement with customer, you all will say there is no point working with SIs. Okay, so the customer have so many imposed rules, liabilities, he hold our neck so badly. Yeah, that you will definitely not be an SI. Yeah, he is right. No. but where we are coming, if you are 3-people organization, and if on what behalf I can sign 10 million, and if I have a business impact of 10 million, which customer is accounting me for penalties, and if your product is 200K, okay, how do I tell customer that I will ensure your $10 million revenue business impact protected? This is a big challenge all of us have, okay. So that's why, escrow comes in, what will happen, you will sell your, and what will happen if you are a 3-people company, I mean, I'm talking very honest opinion, okay. You are a 3-people company, tomorrow I compete fiercely with IBM, and say Airtel is a case. In Africa now we have given them beating in BPO and we are working. You are a 3-people company, I buy your software, deploy, put my $10 million, you are bought over by IBM. I'm gone.
No.
So where I'm coming is, intentions may not be this. So my...
These are the cases that are happening.
Yeah.
We are not talking from the air. It's all practical things that are happening.
Perfect.
That's why we are worried about these.
Correct.
Is it not possible to cover up, since you are telling about 200 pages of some legal document, right? Is it not possible to cover the risk mitigation in that 200-page document?
Doesn't happen. You cannot. Can I tell you?
No, that is exactly what it is, right? So then there was somebody who talked about, so that's why I go through the 4 stages, then it takes 6 months to 8 months, and somebody here said, why are you doing 18 months? You want to do it in 2 weeks, and you also want to sign a 200-page document with a legal team, sorry, that's not practical.
No. My question is something like, the risk can be mitigated in a different way, right? Say for an example, if 3 people company get bowing up, then you can even put a clause like you need to open source the code, or you need to give the code, or kind of.
Yeah.
One small addition to your point, I think it's very pertinent. See, we have 2 types of models to take to the customer, right? One is directly something which we implement for the customer. Another is something which is part of a delivery platform, which is used internally by us, and then we provide services on top of that to the customer, right? So if you look at an SI's risk appetite, it is much more risk appetite when the actual delivery happens to the end customer as compared to an internal platform. Like from whatever conversation I had with you guys, yours is more fitting in within a delivery platform which will be used by an SI in turn to provide services to the customer rather than a direct service, rather than a direct product delivery to the customer itself. That is point number 1. So that makes it a little bit more risk open in your case. And the second thing is that, to your point on this 200-page document and risk, you have to very much understand that we are completely in a relationship business. Even though we make this 200-page document, we don't enjoy using that document. Please understand that. So we don't want to be in a business of going into legalities, because that really spoils our brand image, that really spoils our relationship with a lot of customers. So this is only a protection, but please don't think that that is a default business model. So there's a huge difference between the two.
The partnership document only 10 pages, it's not 200 actually. They actually sign 200 pages with their customer. We don't actually do that. You just I think we have to stop there. You have to stop there, boss, please.
Okay, it's really more of a clarification to something that the gentleman from Tech Mahindra said. And I just want to confirm that this is the case across the board. You'll find a lot of companies, I'm thinking, in the audience who also have solutions, which include services as part of their product portfolio. Now, you've stated very categorically that you're only interested in the product and the services need to be left to you. Are you shutting the door completely on your partners to provide some of the services? And the services may include professionals who are trained in certain platforms, certain domains, who can be part of the implementation, configuration, etc., etc. So I just want to clarify, are you completely making that a black and white, or is there room for services as well?
It's not black and white. But as a thumb rule, if you are looking as a thumb rule, we are a services company. We want to protect our services revenue. We don't want to keep taking your services. First deal, usually, with a new product partner, we always take your services. Second deal, it will reduce to half. Third deal, you should not be surprised if it disappears. Okay. If you are partnering with an SI, who is a services company, please don't build your business case based on services. It should be based on product. Services, I mean, I spend huge amount on services of Oracles and of the world, okay. But that we will go and take when we need for certain requirements, and that too mostly L3 or top level A services, whatever you name. But you don't build your business model on that.
I think, I mean, you covered it mostly, right? Even with primary competitors like IBM, right? We actually buy services from IBM, even though we fiercely compete with IBM, right? That is in areas where they have certain niche products and they are offering certain niche services wrapping around that product. So we are not averse to doing that, but at the same time, it's not the only model which you should rely on. Your value proposition should be based on product where services are wrapping around that.
Okay, we all said so we'll give one chart for one product company. I think there are more than one people from the same company sort of work together to create What goes into this? What goes in? You figure out. She's watching. What do you want her to think?
How we are on here is, this kind of topics, everybody is going through this every day and it can't be compressed into whatever, everyone has something.
So you have only 2 chances. So you're going to basically write in this flip chart, what is your value proposition for why should an SI partner with you? Why should an SI partner with you? Right? So how do you articulate that? You have to first articulate what is the market problem that you solve, how is it different from some of your competitors, and meaning the magic, okay, just to give you some thing, the magic thing that really attracts SIs, when we started partnering, we had a slide deck which we present to our customers. And we present the same slide deck, slightly tweaked to partners. Actually, it doesn't work. Right? And when we tried to scale up our partner alliance relationship, we created a completely new slide deck, which is focused towards partners, value proposition, right? It did have first 2-3 slides about the customer related value, because that's what they understand the product. And then we put one slide saying that what is the lifetime, a 3-year value from a customer that we would derive. And we split into services revenue versus product revenue, 3-year. And then we put a chart saying that this product will, for example, I'm saying, then it's very black and white, right? Partners are able to see if you engage this product, this much of customer, it has to be true, right? You cannot lie, right? You can't just cook up something. It has to be genuinely there, right? So those kind of stuff, I'm not saying literally you do that. So you need to articulate the value proposition that attracts SIs. And once you're done, just go stick it around the walls, and then they'll do sort of a roadshow and then come and visit your booths. So you have a just-in-time booth on your wall. Just go ahead and use that. Just write it and then go stick wherever you are and go stand there. We'll have them come and visit you guys. So you can use your pen also. Write in a big bold letters if you're using pen. Sorry? See, mostly you will say, what is your pain point, the customer problem you're solving, and how are you different from another customer? If it's a commonly understood problem. The third one is, what would an SI get out of it? Why would an SI partner with you? What is the reason? Yeah. Oh, thank you. Please. Fantastic. Thanks for coming. I hope it was useful for you guys. Adarsh. Thanks, Adarsh. Thanks for coming. Where is Vinay? Oh, hi, Vinay. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming. So make sure some of these guys become your partners. Otherwise, they'll kill me. So who else? Hi, Stan. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming. Very well done. Okay, thank you. So who else? 3 more. Hi, Preetham. Hey, thanks, Preetham. Oh, I hope you enjoyed the session.